Welcome to Money Mondays, powered by the Joseph Business School, where you can tune in every first and third Monday of the month to hear a new money topic for your personal finances and businesses. I'm your host, Jill Thompson. To our new viewers, thank you for tuning into our podcast. Today we have with us Melinda F. Emerson, small biz lady, who is America's #1 small business expert. She is an internationally renowned keynote speaker on small business development, social media, and content marketing. Melinda is also the president of the Quintessence Group, an award-winning marketing consulting firm based in Philadelphia, serving Fortune 500 companies. LinkedIn named her a top voice for 2019 in small business and entrepreneurship. In addition to being a former New York Times columnist, she is frequently quoted by media organizations, including the Wall Street Journal, Fortune, MSNBC, CNBC, and Fox News. She's the host of Small Biz Chat Live and the Small Biz Chat podcast. Forbes magazine named her the #1 woman for entrepreneurs to follow on Twitter. A prolific writer, Melinda has published more than 5,000 articles on her blog. Her small business advice is widely read, reaching more than 3 million entrepreneurs each week. She is the best-selling author of Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, and her second edition of her latest book, Fix Your Business, a 90-day plan to get back your life and reduce chaos in your business. Money Monday audience, help me welcome to our podcast, Melinda F. Emerson.
I'm so happy to be here with you.
Well, we are fortunate to have you. I mean, after all, we're sitting here today, guys, with the small business lady. So, of course, we're going to talk about all things small business. Melinda, we first want to start by complimenting the fact that you have been working to provide entrepreneurs with current information to help them thrive in any economic state. Can you talk to us about the state of entrepreneurship currently in the U.S.?
Well, things are rather dire for small businesses right now. We're in a situation where small business owners, for the first time ever, the government actually tried to bail us out, right? But they did it in a haphazard and really kind of difficult way. And only 5 million small business owners were able to benefit from the PPP loan program, which was essentially, free money in most cases. But if you didn't have your business in order, you were not going to be able to take advantage of that. We also have a situation that because of the nationwide closures, because of the shutdowns, that really kind of started in America mid-March, we have statistics that are showing that 41% of African-American businesses have already closed their doors for good. And now that we're coming up on the fall, I am really frightened to see the next numbers, especially because the Congress let the unemployment boost, the $600 extra a week boost that they were giving, they let it expire, and they still haven't come out with a new additional stimulus package that would benefit small business owners. And unfortunately, folks needed that money, and now, the 6 months has gone by, and people are now going to be able to be evicted from their homes and, kicked out of their apartments and things like that. So right now, people are hurting, people are worried, and people, in some cases, are letting that worry and fear take over and not remembering that, our blessings are new each day. And so, we are all one idea away from having it the biggest time ever in our businesses. But it's hard to think that way when the collection calls are coming. And so what I'm excited about talking to you today is about some of the things people can still do to turn things around even right now.
Yeah, I like what you said. You said we're only one idea away from big ideas coming into our business where it could potentially generate massive returns and even profits. Because when I think about it, historically, millionaires and billionaires are typically birthed during pandemics, depressions, recessions. So what industries right now would you say are the fastest growing?
Well, certainly courier and pickup services. Anybody who is willing to drop off and pick up anything, delivery services, those businesses are thriving. Bookstores are thriving. People are back to reading books, which is I think a good thing. Also, too, online e-commerce stores of any kind, but especially grocery store chains are growing. Anybody selling food on the internet, delivering. My mama was somebody who didn't believe in that 6 months ago, but now she calling Instacart to get her food. So there's also certainly paper products is another one. Anybody that's willing to do layaway with you, buy now, pay later kind of services, those businesses are thriving. And e-learning businesses are thriving. So those are the areas and industries that we see, because the thing is that people are spending a ton of time online. People are online all day. So if you have anything to sell, especially if you can sell it right through the social media channel, that is really an effective way to sell right now. So you have to have money to make money, right? So you have to be able to invest in your marketing. Now is not the time to stop investing in your marketing, no matter what you sell.
That's good. And so when we're talking about investing in our marketing, what strategies would you say should be in place for a small business to succeed during this pandemic and after?
Well, first of all, the number one sales tool that you have is your website. So if your website is your welcome mat into your business, what you need to evaluate is whether or not your welcome mat's ready for company, right? Do all the links work? Do you have at least 2 or 3 ways to invite someone to give you their contact information? Because let me tell you guys a secret. You can have thousands of followers on Instagram, but if you don't have their contact information, you can't really sell them anything. So you want to think about how you can transition people from social media back to your website and then capture those email addresses. Because if you got an email list, you got a license to sell. And that's what I want you guys to focus on. Email is critically important right now. The other thing I want you to think about too is focus on your existing customers. The most expensive sale you will ever make is the first one. So how about you love on somebody who's already loved on you? Do a special deal for your existing customers. Pick up the phone and call your existing customer, because you don't just want to know what they need right now. You want to understand their future needs so that you can position yourself to be a resource for what they're going to need in the future, not just today.
Yeah, that's good. So what are essential components that every small business should have at this time?
Well, it goes back to your website. What are you offering people? Do you have some new content? Do you have a new ebook? Are you offering a free webinar series? You need to be in a position right now to help your customer, not necessarily sell to your customer, because what you want to do is engender loyalty. You want to be like, look, we're all in this together. And so you don't want to look like, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Oh, by the way, buy my stuff. That's not the message you want to give. You want to give, let me help you win. Let me give you some free tools. If you go over to my website, for example, if you go over to succeedasYourOwnBoss.com, I have a brand new ebook that we just released in April called How to Recession Proof Your Small Business. And I created that because I wanted to figure out a way to give back, something easy. And it's also another way for me to build my email list. So if you go to my website and download it, if you go to succeedasYourOwnBoss.com/recession, you can see the ebook. But even if you don't do that, if you go to my website within 5 seconds, little notice is going to pop up and invite you to download it. So I am really want to make sure that this new information gets out there because I want to help. And then anything else I'm doing, any other interviews or webinars that I'm on, I'm sharing the links. I'm sharing the replays. I'm doing everything I can to help people because I want my small business owners to win, because I know if I can help just 10% more of them survive, the rising tide will lift all boats. And we know that for sure. So what I want to do is just be of service. When you think about your customers in terms of service instead of sales, you will always win. And that's what I want you to think about. Don't be desperate, because everybody can smell desperate energy.
Yes.
Kids, dogs, everybody can smell fear, right? So you don't want to act like you thirsty, right? We want you to act like you are ready and willing to serve your customers. And if they're ready, and if they're willing to be forthright with you about what their budget is, you can figure out how y'all can do business. Otherwise, you can tell them, look, when you get some more resources, holler at me. You certainly want to figure out, though, how to take a client's money if they're offering it to you. So make sure that you're in a position to take all forms of currency. Can you do touchless transactions? Are you able to take credit cards or e-checks? You want to make sure that you're set up to take money however they want to send it to you. Critical.
You know, Melinda, you always come up with some of the best quotes. And I like what you just said. Be willing to serve and help your customer and not sell to your customer. And so that reminds me of something that you've often said before that I've heard you say on many other interviews, which is you never lose in business. You either win or learn. Can you tell our audience can you explain that concept to our audience?
Well, I think so often people get caught up in what they think is failure. And here's my thing. There are just lessons that get to be more expensive than others. That's what I believe. It's all a lesson. It's all a journey. We wouldn't even know good days if it wasn't for bad days. So we have to thank God for bad days too. And that is especially true in business. But you also have to be able to shake off a bad day, right? So you can't live there. Your past can't define your future, right? You just have to take the lesson and pray you don't have to learn it again and keep it moving. And that's really what my favorite quote is about, because I think people, this fail fast culture, that's stupid. What I want you to know is that you're going to learn some lessons in life. You definitely going to learn some in business. And let's pray that they are, affordable, that they are not terminal. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what it's all about.
You know, I know that there are probably a lot of small business owners that are probably watching at this moment. And there are a lot of small businesses that close. So when you talk about that learning and making sure that it's a lesson, don't take it as a failure. There's always an opportunity for you to get back up and get in the ring. And so you being the small business expert, you yourself have had your own personal small business experience where you may have made mistakes in your own business. Can you talk to our audience about what that process may have been like for you and how did you overcome it?
Well, I mean, gosh, there's so many mistakes I've made, but one that led me to becoming the small business lady is the one that I will share. Back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, I was married and I got pregnant with my son, and I was about 32, and I ended up with a high risk pregnancy on bed rest. Now, you got to understand, this was like 2005, so Wi-Fi was not the way it is now. Wi-Fi was not in your house. So me sitting home to be on bed rest means I was at home. I didn't have a laptop in my lap still working. And what I learned from that experience was, one, I was the worst workaholic you ever met when that happened. I mean, literally, I would go to church on Sunday and swing by my office and work 3 or 4 more hours before I went home. Yeah. I was bad. I was a 6-7 day a weeker. I mean, you could call my office at 9 o'clock. People would answer the phone like it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, I was horrible. And I made everybody around me work like that. And so it's my belief that God made me get pregnant on purpose, because we weren't trying. We just found out we were pregnant. I was like, oh, okay. But as it turns out, when I was home on bed rest, what I learned is that I had built a business that couldn't run without me. And that's the number one biggest mistake you can make in business. Your goal should be to work yourself out of a job. Your goal should be to be able to go on a laptop-free vacation and your business still be back making money while you're on vacation. And so I learned that the most expensive way possible, because we almost lost everything that year. My husband was then working full time in our business too. So it was a really, really scary time. I was the number one rainmaker in my business and I wasn't around to make no rain. So it was, and then on top of that, I was at home getting ready to have this baby that they thought had a heart condition, so it was rough stuff. But the interesting thing about it is when I had my son, I realized that I didn't want to work like that anymore. I didn't want to work 12 to 14-hour days, 6 days a week anymore. And I also realized the most valuable thing in my business was what I learned from running it. And so at that point, I said, you know what? I think I would have run my business better if I had had better advice. And then I looked around and there was nobody giving small business advice in the mass media. It was really like Susie Orman and Gene Chasky were giving financial advice, but there was nobody in the media every day saying, hey, if you want to hit it big in business, here's what you need to know, or here's what you need to watch out for, or do you know you could go to jail faster for not paying payroll taxes and not paying income taxes? There was nobody telling people that, right? And I said to myself, you know what? I think I could be the lady telling them. I think I am supposed to do this work. But it was interesting because at the time I felt lost, right? My business was kind of in shambles. I had this brand new baby, and quiet as it's kept, my marriage was falling apart too, like all at the same time. So here I was 33, I had this brand new baby and a business that was becoming a money pit. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? And literally, I remember I went and I had lunch with my pastor, and he said to me, well, Melinda, have you prayed about it? And I looked at him like, well, see what happened, Pastor, like, the baby's been keeping me up, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, listen, you know what to do. You need to start praying. And literally, I did that. Like, I prayed for about two and a half months faithfully. And when I tell you God gave me a vision and a dream 3 times to become America's #1 small business expert.
Wow.
And by the 3rd time I got it, and it's funny because when I talk to people who have been called to ministry, they tell me very similar stories, like they were called to ministry in a very similar way. In my life, God speaks to me through vision and dreams. I don't think I've ever heard his voice. Now, he's made people call me on the phone and tell me stuff he said, though, but he's never dialed my number direct, right? He gives me visions that I have to figure out how to interpret, but he made it so clear to me what I was supposed to do. And then what's amazing about when God gives you your purpose, when he moves mountains out of your way, they are miraculous. So, and I'll just give you one example of what I mean. So when I first decided, okay, I'm gonna be America's #1 small business expert, I started talking to other people who were speakers and coaches and stuff. And they were like, listen, if you want to be taken seriously as an expert, you got to write a book. As a matter of fact, you got to write a good book. And really, you need to get somebody to pay you to write it. And me out here, because this was like 2007. So it still wasn't, self-publishing was still kind of looked at like, you don't do that. So literally, I ended up on the phone one day with an editor, and we were talking about something else. And I told him that I had this book that I was working on, and he was like, well, who's publishing it? And I was like, well, no one yet. I haven't started, circulating. And he said, well, look, send me your table of contents in 3 or 4 chapters, and I'll let you know what I think of your little book. That's how he talked to me. And that was like Thanksgiving 2007. And January 3rd, 2008, he called me and said, I like your little book. Do you got any more chapters of it? And that became my international best-selling book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, which I'm very proud to say has been in print almost 11 years. And it's in its 2nd edition. It's been in multiple languages around the world.
That's a powerful story. That's really powerful.
It's
Melinda.
nothing but the truth. And I can't even make it up better than that because it's the truth. But I think that sometimes what you have to realize is that every kick is a boost. It doesn't feel that way at the time, but it's designed to push you in a different direction. And so a lot of people, and the other thing I want to say too, 2007, 2008, y'all remember what happened, right? That was the last recession. So I became the small biz lady in the last recession.
Come on.
So what I will tell you, and I mean it when I say it, you are one idea away from being able to do anything that you want. And listen to me, recessions happen every 10 years. They have historically. So if you look, there was one in 1918 and 1919. The Great Depression happened in 1929, and it lasted 43 months, right? There was one 10 years later. There was one 10 year, I could keep going. There was one in 08, 09. There'll be another one. So you can't let recessions define what it is your gift is. But what you do need to think about is strategy. And strategy is about competition. What is it about your business that adds value for your customers that is not easily duplicatable by your competition? That is what you need to be working on, because a race to the bottom is a race you don't want to get into. You don't want to be having price be the thing that people use to evaluate whether or not they want to do business with you. It's got to be the value. It's got to be your secret sauce, or your moonwalk, whatever it is. You've got to figure that thing out and do that and highlight that. Because like I said, if you're just importing purses that you're trying to sell on Amazon, somebody's going to beat you on price doing that, because there's not anything super special about that. But you do have to figure out your lane, your niche, and you have to own your niche. And it is just as simple as that. There is only one small business lady, and I happen to be America's #1 small business expert. And if you want to come and try to reach women and minority entrepreneurs in the US, you got to come see the small biz lady. And so that's what I want you to feel and know about what it is you do, because you got to get that clear.
Melinda, we've heard many financial experts as well as different business experts talk about the importance of keeping cash during a pandemic. But can you provide clarity to this statement? When they say keep cash, are we talking about outside of your bank, whatever you have in your bank accounts, under your mattress? Where are we keeping cash exactly?
Well, first and foremost, when they're telling you to keep cash, what they're telling you is only pay what you have to pay. So maybe you let some other things go because you're trying to hold on to cash. I mean, because cash is, at the end of the day, the #1 form of currency. So definitely you want to keep money in your business bank account. You want to keep money in a money market account if you have, more than your general kind of operating expenses. But I'm also a firm believer in keeping 2 or 3 grand in the house in a safe or in a safety place. I'm not one for the under the mattress thing, but I have a fireproof safe in my house where, I believe you should keep a few $1,000s just in case something goes down and you got to, a flood, a fire, whatever, you got to get out fast. You definitely want to make sure that you have some personal cash on you, but keeping your cash in a bank is perfectly safe. But what they're talking about is don't be paying frivolous bills. Only pay what you have to, ignore the collection calls. Do not focus on unsecured debt like credit cards and things like that. They're saying, pay the vendors that you have to, pay the employees that you have to, but do not be out here racking up extra inventory and things like that. Unless, of course, you're getting ready for a big holiday push or something like that. You want to conserve your cash as much as possible, so you only pay the bills that you absolutely have to.
That's good. Melinda, so you are the small business lady and you provide help for the entrepreneur, which is funny because in JBS, you'll be teaching help for the entrepreneur. And so I'm sure there are a lot of small business owners that are hyped right now by the information that you're providing, because one thing that you talk about, which is key, and I believe it's imperative at this time, is strategy. I mean, there's a lot of businesses right now that have to make a pivot. If you do not move now, it will cost you later. And so there are a lot of mergers, there are a lot of acquisitions. Economically, there are a lot of things and there are a lot of moving pieces that are happening right now in our nation. And so in you teaching this help for the entrepreneur class on September 25th, what can small business owners expect from your class?
Well, I'm going to teach y'all the 12 P's of running a successful business. And we're going to start at the beginning. So the first P is preparation. Because here's the thing. I don't think you don't know what's wrong in your business. I think you haven't decided that you're ready to fix it yet. It's like running around with your car and you hear a little rattle and you're like, it's rattling, but you in a hurry, you got somewhere to go. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna get to that. And then the next time you get in the car, the kids in the car, you rushing somewhere, you trying to get there and you hear that rattling and you're like, dang, I really do need to take care of that. And the next thing you know, you get in your car and Bessie won't start. Well, is it less expensive to fix a rattle or to tow a car when the car won't start? That's what's going on in your business. And I'm going to help you get clear about them things been rattling around. Then we're going to look at purpose, because whenever you can't find your way. You got to get back to your why. You got to get back to why did you start this business? And then you got to get to why should you still be running it? Because let's face it, guys, it's hard out here to run a business, and there are businesses who run their course, and there are entrepreneurs who run their course. You might be tired. It might be time for you to figure out something else to do, or go on and retire, or figure out if you have a business you can sell or pass down to somebody, or turn it into an ESOP and let your employees have it. Whatever it is, it's time for you to do some real hard soul searching about what's going on. And then after you do that, it's time to look at your people, right? Do you have the next level team you need to take your business to the next level? Or do you have a bunch of doers in your business? Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? But you don't have nobody thinking about how your business makes money other than you. That's a problem, right? And then we're going to look at profit, because profit is how we keep score in business. Right? So we're really going to dig in and look at your financial stuff in your business, and how you price and stuff. And are you even tracking profit year over year? Or are you tracking profit by categories of sales and service? Right? We're really going to look at what your money rules are in your business and stuff like that. Then after that, we're going to look at processes. We get real clear about, how does your business operate? Are you walking around with all that information in your head, or is it written down somewhere? What's the deal? Do you know? I mean, if you need to train some employees, how you doing it? You got a document you training them with? Come on. I mean, it's time to become a big girl or big boy business here. No longer playtime is over. This is very, very serious. Then we're going to look at productivity. We're going to look at what technology should you be using in your business that you're not. What marketing can we automate? All that stuff. We're going to look at that. And then we're going to look at your actual product or service. And we're going to do that evaluation for relevancy, and for, whether or not your customer is going to need you 3 to 5 years from now. Because it's not really about today. We're talking about today, it's already too late. So it's really important for us to look at your product. And then we're going to look at performance. And by performance, I mean measurement. So like, are you measuring anything in your business? Are you looking at your Google Analytics? Are you looking at your email open rates? Do you know what your cost per sale is? Do you know what your cost per lead is? Yeah, that's where we're going to go with that. And then we're going to look at your presence. We're going to look at your brand online and offline. We already talked about your website is your number one sales tool. So we're going to really dig into what does a successful website look like, and how much time and where should you be hanging out in social media. We're going to get into that a little bit too. And then we're going to talk about prospects and your sales process. Who's selling for you? How do you get leads? Who follows up on the leads? Who fulfills the orders once you sell something? And then who owns the relationship after the sale? All that stuff is important, because the goal is to get repeat business. Anybody will buy something once, you need to get them to buy it over and over again. Well, do you have an apparatus in place to even make that happen? Or are you just looking at the phone hoping it rings? Wrong strategy, right? And then we're going to look at planning and really kind of help you really tighten whether or not you're going to develop a new strategic plan, which I hope you are. And strategic plans are really like a 1-year plan versus a 3-year plan, which mostly a business plan would address. And then we're going to close with perseverance, because what I know is that you have to stay strong enough, long enough to win. And that's what we're going to talk about on September 25th. So if any of that intrigues you, if you need to know anything about that, you better make sure you register for my class.
Melinda, all of this is like great information, because even myself, as I'm sitting here, I'm just like, wow, I haven't thought about maybe half of those P's that you just talked about. But I know you did not mention this P, but it is one of a few things that a lot of small businesses think about at this time, which is partnership. And so can you talk about partnership? Is it essential at this time? Is it non-essential? What should small business should be thinking about before they even partner with another business?
Well, I think it's collaborate or die time. I definitely believe you need to be looking at partnerships, but more so like strategic partnerships as opposed to legal partnerships, but you need to be open to even legal partnerships. Mergers and acquisitions are happening now, and if it means swallowing your pride and merging with somebody who's always been a competitor to save both businesses, you better do it, and you better evaluate it very carefully. Make sure you have your own lawyer and accountant so that you can really get a real valuation done of your business so that you don't get taken advantage of financially. But definitely be open to partnerships. Definitely be looking for collaboration partners and look for them in non-traditional areas. You never know how partnering with a business you never kind of looked at, industry you never looked at, could be the thing that gives you your extra secret sauce you've been looking for.
But Melinda, is there any last thing or any last tip you'd like to provide our small business owners that are watching now as to what they can be thinking about right now during the pandemic?
I think it's important for you to think right now about what is it that you need to stop doing. I think so often when things happen, when there's a slowdown in business, you start thinking about, oh Lord, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do this. I want you to think about, what is it that you need to stop doing? Are there some services that you need to cut? Like, what are your most profitable products and services? Do you need to focus on those? Do you need to cut some of your team? You know, what is it that you need to stop dealing with? Do you got some vendors that, you know, give you a hard time or won't give you credit terms, or, you know, always it's just a friction process? Maybe it's time to find some new ones. You know, this is the time where you can substitute people, you can substitute services, you can substitute your own vendors and switch people out. You want to get the right team in place, because at this point there's no reason to take aggravation from anybody as far as I'm concerned. So think about what it is you need to stop doing.
Melinda, can you tell us about your Emerson planning system that a lot of businesses have been raving over?
Absolutely. So the Emerson planning system was actually one of the central pieces of my first book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months. And basically, the Emerson planning system is my 6-step system to transition from having a job to starting a business. So it's really for people that are just starting, but I'll walk you through it. The first step of the Emerson planning system is really developing a life plan. And the reason why I do that is because the thing is that you really need to get clear what you want out of life and then start a business that's going to allow you to live that way. If you need enough money to buy your own island, well, then you need to start a kind of business that's going to throw out that kind of money, right? So you really have to get your goals and really what you want. How much money do you have to make to be happy? That's the question you kind of have to ask yourself, among others. You know, how is it that you live versus how you want to live? It's a way for you to kind of put yourself at the top of your own agenda. So life planning is the first thing I make people do. Then after they've gone through their life plan and they still decide that they want to start a business, then we got to figure out how you're going to pay for it, because the money to start your business is going to come from your right or your left pocket. So financial planning is the next piece. I want you to figure out how you're going to fund yourself, because honestly, guys, businesses don't typically throw off any real profit until about year 3. So you've got to figure, how are you going to take care of yourself and your family for 2 years while checks are going that way instead of coming this way? So you really have to be clear about that. Step 3 in the Emerson planning system is really evaluating your business idea in terms of what skills you have versus what skills you need to run your particular kind of business. So oftentimes I tell entrepreneurs, go work for a business like the one you want to start. The worst thing in the world is for somebody to start a restaurant because they like to eat, or to open a bakery because they bake great cakes. Like, that is not enough information, because the skill sets are completely different. Baking great cakes, running a bakery, bad situation. And I'll give you a perfect example of that. I knew a woman who was very successful in corporate America, and she was so excited because she was going to start her own food kind of it was an ice cream franchise here in the Philadelphia market where I live. And she was so excited. She got her location, she got her architect and built it all out. She sent out invitations to the grand opening. And it was funny because I saw her 2 years later after she opened her business. Now, she was a VP inside of a pharmaceutical company. So she left that job to start this business. And literally, I saw her 2 years later at a mutual friend's child's birthday party. And I was like, oh, how is the business going? And she looked at me and said, I cannot be a slave to anything, especially something that doesn't fulfill me. And I hate teenagers, and that's who all my employees were. And I thought to myself, now that's a perfect example of someone who didn't do their homework, who thought, oh, I'm gonna start this franchise, I'm gonna make all this money. Well, no, because what they don't realize is that when you're starting a business like that, a 7-day-a-week business, and you gotta lock and unlock the door every day because it's yours, that's a grind. And you've got to do it because in the early days, you're not making enough money to have a whole bunch of staff, so that's the thing that I want people to do. I want you to really think through the business and in fact, go work for a business like that part-time so that you can really get clear about whether or not you're really willing to do that business. And then step 4 is your marketing plan. Because I need you to figure out who your paying customer is before you go too far with this thing. Because a lot of times people get caught up in the, oh, everybody's my customer. That's the fastest way for me to run away from you at a dinner party or a reception. Walk up to me and tell me you don't have no competition. I'll be like, oh my gosh, So what I need people to figure out is who their customer is. What is their their value proposition. Why is this, who is your target customer and why are they going to buy from you? What is it about you or your product or service that's going to be so special, right? Very, very, very important. And then how are you going to reach this customer that you've identified? What's your marketing plan for outreach? And then what's your marketing budget going to be? Too often people market with what's left instead of actually setting aside actual money every month to do marketing. And then step 5 in the Emerson planning system is writing a business plan. I know there's all these people out here now telling people they don't need business plans. That is nonsense. Do not spend more time planning a family vacation than how you're going to support yourself and your family financially. I need you to take a trip and know where you're going, where you're going to stay, how much spend money you're going to have, how much are the tickets to get into the park. Like, you need to know all that stuff. And you need to know that kind of information about your business. So make sure you take the time to write down what's going to happen in your business and how much it's going to cost you. And then the last step in the Emerson planning system is launch while working. Here's a newsflash, guys. I don't believe in people quitting jobs to start a business. I believe you should be a side hustler first. Critically important, because what happens is you need to learn on somebody else's dime as long as you can. And for the first 18 to 24 months, you're out here fumbling in the dark. You really kind of don't know. You wrote this business plan, but look, it's your hypothesis of what you think is going to happen. Well, you're going to get some data once you get out there and try to sell somebody something. So I'm telling you, you need to become a 5 to 9er. You need to work your evenings and your weekends on your business. Everybody's working from home, so I'm sure you can steal a couple hours away from your day job as long as you get stuff done. But you need to make sure that you are clear about this business and you are clear about your business model and how your business will make money before you even remotely think about quitting your job.
Melinda, thank you so much for coming on our podcast. Can you tell our audience, number one, I want you to tell them that book that you wrote, because I need to pick up a copy today, but also, how can people get in contact with you and also get your free recession-proof business book?
All right. So my book that I just talked to you about that I'm going to teach from on the 25th is called Fix Your Business. And you guys can go right on Amazon and grab the book and the workbook or just the book. But it would be helpful if you've read it because you're going to have a lot more questions for me. Secondly, if you want to find me, I am Small Biz Lady everywhere on the internet. You can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. I am Melinda Emerson on LinkedIn. That's my name. But Otherwise, you can find me on my website, and my website, my blog is succeedasYourOwnBoss.com. And if you want to get a copy of my new ebook, How to Recession Proof Your Small Business, all you got to do is go to succeedasYourOwnBoss.com/recession, and you will get everything you need to hopefully retool your business so that you're going to be in business a long time.
Money Monday audience, thank you for tuning in to another episode of our Money Mondays podcast. If there's a money topic you'd like for us to cover, send us an email at moneymondays@jbs.edu. Remember to tune in every first and third Monday of the month for a new money topic. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and follow the Joseph Business School on social media for new content. I'm your host, Jill Thompson, and I look forward to seeing you prosper. Have a great day.